I trust you're doing well. I'm Ethan Tashabe. You're watching RwandaTV News live from Kigali. Rwanda and Democratic Republic of Congo security officials have vowed to strengthen cooperation in security, as this would bring about lasting peace and stability between the two countries. This was said during a bilateral meeting in Kigali this Saturday that brought together security chiefs from our two countries to discuss ways of dealing with security threats that affect both countries. We have this report. This is the second time in 2021 that top security officials from Rwanda and Democratic Republic of Congo have met to discuss security matters of common interest.
This is a bilateral meeting on defense and security between Rwanda and the DRC. It is a follow-on meeting from the meeting that was held on 19th January 2021, in which a delegation was sent to deliver a special message from His Excellency Paul Kagame to his counterpart, President Antoine Tshisekedi, in which he highlighted the security situation, and he actually also thanked him for the successes registered in neutralizing Rwandan armed groups operating in the eastern DRC. So this meeting is supposed to review the status and security situation regarding the groups operating in the region, and to forge a constructive framework moving forward.
This meeting comes 2 years after the Democratic Republic of Congo's forces, FARDC, launched an offensive against armed groups operating in the eastern DRC forests that are often a threat to security of the country and the region as a whole. Kamshizeng Jean-Claude, DRC's Director of Foreign Intelligence, said his country was pleased with the results of the military operation in the eastern DRC and that it would achieve its goals without a doubt.
Nous sommes optimistes. We
are confident that we will completely eliminate all those insurgent groups. The confidence comes from the operation that has already been taken by our forces. We also expect development in the area to follow, because these militia groups have denied our people the opportunity to think about development.
Si ces forces-là continuent de déranger la population, on ne sait pas réfléchir sur le développement du pays.
The DRC delegation was led by François Kasonga, Special Advisor to President Felix Antoine Tshisekedi on security. During the opening ceremony of the two-day talks between the two sides, François Kasonga slammed the Western countries, saying that they were involved in the often conflicts between the two neighboring countries.
Nous sommes venus ici pour défier le monde entier, surtout les Occidentaux, qui ne veulent pas que nos deux pays s'entendent.
We came here to challenge the whole world, especially the Western world, who don't want us to speak and work together. We are here to tell them that we are one and that we never want conflicts among us. I'd like to thank His Excellency President Paul Kagame for welcoming us, but especially for this idea of uniting the security institutions between two countries and strengthening our cooperation. This reinforces the important relationship that will make no one think of harming each other, because we are well aware that we share a lot in common.
Un lien très important qui fera que personne ne pourra penser à faire du mal à un autre tant que nous savons que nous mangeons de la même assiette.
Rwanda's Chief of Defense Staff, CDS, General Jean Bosco Kazura, also says that what the people of both countries need is cooperation and development, but insists that this cannot be achieved without security.
Nous avons des délégations qui sont composées de beaucoup des institutions, surtout les institutions de sécurité.
We have a group of delegates from many sectors, especially security agencies. So that says a lot about the importance that our two heads of state attach to security matters. It means that you can achieve anything while you're secure. If the people of both countries are able to trade, not only will our two countries prosper, but Africa as a whole. This coincides with the fact that President Felix Antoine Tshisekedi is the chairperson of the African Union, which makes us proud. It shows us that we're on the right track of Africa's development.
Nous en sommes très fiers et travailler ensemble, ça montre déjà qu'on va dans le sens de avancer l'agenda de développement de l'Afrique.
The talks are expected to continue on Sunday And after two sides will announce their resolutions, which will likely give guidance on how two nations can further work together to address national and regional security threats. In other news, some people that recently got the Rwandan nationality have spoken about the importance and the value they attach to being called Rwandan citizens. Ghislaine Mugwaneza has this report.
The craziness of what was going on in America with the COVID.
Eddie Christopher Kamara lives in Remera sector in Kigali city but was born in USA. He says that he was very thrilled to be given a Rwandan nationality last year in August.
It was an explosion. I said, my God, I am a Rwandan. It's impossible. This is actually happening all in one time. And I praise the Lord that whatever, He opened doors for me. I will tell you something. Migration, the government were the most helpful people in our lives. They made it so easy for us to live here.
Samir Damji got his nationality in September 2020. He was born in Rwanda in 1975. His family came in Rwanda in 1972 from India. He shares similar emotions as Kamara.
The first feeling I had when I was called by immigration was pride. It's just an immense happiness that you have, and you become proud because this is the country that I was born. This is the country I've lived most of my life, and this is the country I look forward to always. So when you finally become a citizen, you can participate with the country. It feels, I feel very proud amongst being a citizen of this country. And if you think about it, it's probably one of the only countries in Africa which has, progressed so well. So it's an immense sense of pride. Happiness, I would say, is just because I've been wanting to become Rwandan for a long time. And my family was very excited when I announced to them that I was becoming Rwandan.
Rwanda has issued nationality to over 900 people in last 10 years. However, there are many people on the pending list that applied for the nationality. Legal experts have said that applying for a nationality is caused by several reasons, including how the applicants see the country that they want to move into. It is caused by three things. It comes from the person himself, where he comes from, and due to how they see Rwanda. If I talk about personal reasons, it depends on how one loves Rwanda and relates with citizens. If I talk about where they come from, it depends on how they compare the quality of life in their countries of origin to Rwandans. There are those that see the Rwandan security and how their businesses are prospering and decide to apply for the Rwandan nationality. Law reforms are being made in the organic law relating to Rwandan nationality. The new law provides for 11 requirements to be based on while applying for Rwandan nationality. According to the Rwanda Directorate General of Immigration and Immigration, 150 people have applied for Rwandan nationality, and their applications are under review to determine if they meet the requirements. Ghislaine Mugwaneza, reporting for RTV.
Thank you, Zishen, for that report. Moving on, the World Food Programme has announced a 60% reduction in food assistance for refugees in Rwanda. The drastic reduction in food supply is expected to take effect come March this year. UNHCR Rwanda, on its part, says the situation might be worse than it is today if donor countries would not intervene on time. Gabi Muvunyi has this report.
The announcement has been made by the World Food Programme, WFP Rwanda, with clear depiction of what is transpiring in the food supply to the refugees currently living in Rwanda. The WFP admits that it needs about $9 million for the next 3 months through June, if ration reduction is to be avoided, and $20.6 million to maintain full assistance to the refugees throughout 2021. However, the WFP spokesperson in Rwanda, Emily Fredenberg, says rations for refugees with special needs will remain the same.
It is important, though, to note that we are cutting assistance for general food assistance, though we are able at this stage to maintain critical nutrition support to refugees that are particularly vulnerable to malnutrition. And these would include pregnant and breastfeeding mothers, mothers, children under 2, school children, people living with HIV and AIDS, and those undergoing tuberculosis treatment. So thankfully, we still are at this stage able to maintain those critical services. The vast majority of these refugees, they really rely on the assistance that WFP provides each month to meet their basic food needs. So understandably, them hearing news of this radical reduction is quite troubling to them.
The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, on its part, says despite the mere fact that the donations are faced with many challenges, efforts to solicit funds from donor countries are underway, and optimism to provide solutions are looming.
Donor meeting again organized in the coming weeks, and we are really continuing our efforts to call for the support of the donor community and tell them that without their contribution, WFP is not in a position to have, it doesn't have the resources to maintain appropriate food assistance for those refugees.
WFP provides refugees with a monthly cash transfer to buy food in local markets. Each person receives 7,600 francs under a full ration allocation, which provides the basic foods to meet minimum nutrition requirements for each person. This decision is likely to affect 135,000 Burundian and Congolese refugees currently living in camps in Rwanda.
Thank you, Gabi, for that report. Lecturers and students at the University of Rwanda have called on for some changes at the UR to deliver on the quality of education that Rwanda needs. The Vice-Chancellor of the University of Rwanda, Professor Alexandre Yambabaje, says that he's ready to achieve this goal by promoting research at the university. Joseline Mugwaneza has this report.
University of Rwanda students have outlined the challenges that university faces that should be solved to improve the quality of education at the Rwanda's main public tertiary institution. I went to more than 5 companies applying for internship, and they told me that it is difficult to get an internship during COVID-19 period. They say it's hard to give an internship while there are staffs that are working at home. The possible way is that the government can work with those companies to see if they can add on other staffs in the offices and on their working sites. I haven't got a practical internship yet. However, we are doing an online internship which doesn't provide a good and full quality. The lecturers at University of Rwanda also says that they're waiting to see the changes made, especially when it comes to research. What I feel is expected and needed is to support researchers, because each of the university lecturer teaches but also do research. We need to be supported because there is a need for research funding, and another thing needed is the collaboration between the university and the industries so that research reach intended industries to facilitate research-based solutions. University of Rwanda's new Vice-Chancellor, Professor Alexandre Yambabaje, highlights what he will emphasize on during his tenure. We should work with those ones too, either in evaluating lectures, teaching system, admissions as well as internships. All those will help in building the quality of education. Another thing is that when you have done the research, it plays a role in building the country. When you do research about something, the next thing is to write it down and give the paper to the international media houses, where they say that the researcher is wise and has done a great thing indeed. But how has the research benefited citizens? The Minister of Education, Dr. Valentin Uwamaria, has tasked the University of Rwanda as the foundation of building knowledge-based economy to bring up positive changes in the economy. You have often heard of building a knowledge-based economy so that knowledge is provided by education, and the University of Rwanda is big and has got many students. It has a lot of staffs, and others are working in other administrative. They're all expected to be productive. We really want to improve the quality of education, but university has got other responsibilities to do research. We want to do research that changes the economy, as we started saying this. University of Rwanda was established in 2013 after merging different public tertiary institutions across the country.
Thank you, Ghislaine. Moving on, with just 2 months into 2021, the National Agriculture Export Development Board estimates that there has been an increase of about 23.8% in flower exports this year. This comes ahead of February 14th, which marks St. Valentine's Day, where lovers celebrate it by exchanging flowers. Gabi Muvunyi reports.
Across the city of Kigali, there are several flower shops where consumers can buy flowers and Valentine gifts for their loved ones. However, this time round, some say that Valentine's will not be celebrated as usual due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. They say in spite of the current situation, they can still buy flowers and exchange gifts. Because of the pandemic, we will not celebrate it like we used to, but we can still show love because we need to love each other, even in these difficult times. I came to buy for my lover a gift. Even though we will not be able to go out because of the pandemic, it is a way to show love and comfort. Florists say that the number of consumers they are receiving this year has drastically dropped compared to the previous year. Due to the pandemic, the number of consumers we receive has changed a lot. Despite the pandemic, there are still people coming in to buy flowers. They come in and we serve them. As Valentine's Day is celebrated this week, Rwanda National Police spokesperson CP John Bosco Kabera reminds Rwandans that they must continue to adhere to the COVID-19 guidelines because we're still in a pandemic. Flowers are a global symbol of love. The National Institute of Agricultural Exports says the amount of flowers exported this year has increased drastically during these times to celebrate Valentine's Day. The spokesperson of NEB, Nwari Pai, explains why. Reason for the increase in flower exports this year is that there is an increase in cultivation this time round. Secondly, Valentine's Day is around the corner. In many countries, COVID-19 restrictions seem to be lifted, so festivities have resumed, thus high demand of the flowers. So that can justify why the exports have gone higher this year. NAEB estimates that 43 tons and 237 kilograms of flowers exported last week, marking up to 23.8% increase compared to the normal exports. The total sum of the exported flowers sums up to 456 million francs. Gabi Muvunyi for RTV.
I understand tomorrow is Valentine's Day, so I want to remind you again, you have to celebrate this very carefully because we're still fighting COVID-19. On behalf of the entire news production team, many thanks for your company tonight. Stay well and safe. I'm Ethan Tashavia. Bye for now.